exciting review of how to win friends and influence people. I hope you've had a great day. Hi, Shale. Hi, Selena. Good to have you here. So today we're going to be examining chapter 2 of part 3. And that is titled A Sure Way of Making Enemies and How to Avoid It. Why do you want to make enemies? I mean, so if you don't want to make enemies, right? I mean, we're not talking of not making enemies at all, because we are human beings, and for as long as we are in this world, some people will make themselves voluntary enemies. Oh my god, I didn't attach my microphone. Sorry about that. All right, so we're taking a look at a sure way of making enemies and how to avoid it. Right, I hope the sound is better now. So it pays to make friends than to make enemies. If you can be sure of being right only 55% of the time, you can go down to Wall Street in New York and make $1 million a day, right? But if you can't be sure of being right even 55% of the time, why should you tell other people that they are wrong? If you don't want to make enemies quickly, or if you don't want to make loads of enemies, stop telling people they are wrong. What gives you the assurance that they are wrong and you are right? Because people don't ever admit that they are wrong. Even if they know that they are wrong, the fact that you have said they are wrong, you only make them to be defensive. You only batter them, you hurt their feelings, and so they will never admit that they are wrong, just for the fact that you said that they are wrong. Even if they want to admit it, they would rather do that willingly, not you pressuring them into admitting that they are wrong. You can tell people that they are wrong by a look or an intonation or gesture, as much as you say it in words. So it's not only when you voice it out, right? By your attitude, your disposition, your intonation, your gesture, your eye movement, or whatever. You can actually tell somebody that the person is a dunce. The person doesn't know what he or she is doing. And when you tell them that they are wrong, what are you trying to achieve? Do you think that they are going to agree with you? Do you think that they are going to feel good about it? Nobody feels good about it, especially when you now say it in a demeaning manner. So you're never going to make them agree, because the fact that you have said that they are wrong, you deal them a big blow. You puncture their intelligence, their sense of judgment, their pride and self-respect. Remember, we said that one of the greatest needs of man is a sense of importance. So when you tell somebody that he or she is wrong, you deflate their ego, you deflate their pride and self-respect. And so they will resent you. They cannot continue to smile with you, right? But there is a way you can tell somebody that he or she is wrong without actually saying it. And that is what we're going to be learning here, right? Telling somebody that he or she is wrong will never make them change their minds, no matter what you say. Even if you use all the logic or intelligence in the world, right? It won't change anything. So anytime you want to make a speech, you want to say something, don't start by saying, well, I am going to prove to you that, or I am going to show you that, it is bad. And by the time you are saying that, people are already preparing how to counter what you want to say. No matter how brilliant it is, because what they are trying to say is that I am smarter than you, right? I'm going to tell you one or two things and you will change your mind. As you're saying it, they are preparing their responses in their minds, right? So don't put people under such conditions. On a normal day, it is difficult to convince people to change their minds, especially on their tough beliefs, something that they have held on to for so many years, and you just want to come and prove it. No. If you are going to prove anything, don't let anybody know that you are proving anything. You can do it in a subtle manner, in a diplomatic manner, in a wise manner. You are proving it, you are telling them that they are wrong, but you are not so explicit about it. In fact, it's not that you are not so explicit. You are not explicit about it in any way. You do it in a very wise manner. Alexander Pope said that men must be taught as if you taught them not, and things unknown proposed as things for God. You want to tell somebody something, maybe an instruction or whatever, but you're saying it as if you are reminding the person. You're saying something like, oh, I know that you know this already. I just thought to remind you, even though the person may not know it, right? So they won't feel like, oh, you're taking them to be stupid or anything like that. Oh, who told you that I didn't know this before? No. Oh, I know that you're already aware of this. I just wanted to bring it to your attention. That sounds differently, right? Over 300 years ago, Galileo said, you cannot teach a man anything. You can only help him to find it within himself. And Lord Chesterfield also said to his son, be wiser than other people if you can, but do not tell them so. We know that there are instances when you're wiser than people, you're smarter than them, and all of that, but you don't have to mention it. Socrates said, one thing only I know, and that is I know nothing. Assume that you don't know anything. Don't flaunt it. People may know that you're smart already, but don't flaunt it. They'll resent you, right? The author says that I can't hope to be any smarter than Socrates, so I have quit telling people they are wrong. And he finds that it pays. It doesn't matter who the person is, your spouse, your customer, and everything. So if you think that a person is wrong, as in somebody has made a statement that is obviously wrong, right? It is better to begin by saying to the person, well, I may be wrong. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that, we should examine the facts. I think that we should look at it this way. That way, you have deflated the person's ego by saying, oh, I may be wrong. It means that you're also admitting that you are wrong. So the person will also start thinking, maybe I'm also wrong. Instead of being on the defensive side, maybe I'm also wrong. The fact that you have admitted that you may be wrong will make them not feel so stupid. Even if it now happens that what they thought was right was wrong, right? So it is almost impossible that anybody would argue with you if you start your sentence this way. Oh, I'm sorry, I may be wrong. Please correct me if I'm wrong. But I think it is this way. I think it is that way. And all of that, right? You will never get into trouble by admitting that you may be wrong. It will stop any argument. It will stop any stubbornness that your opponent may want to bring up. All right. There was a guy here who was losing customers. He was losing so many things just because he would always argue with his customers. He would always, be too hard on them anytime they brought any complaint, until he learned this principle. And some of his hardest clients, his difficult clients, eventually brought even customers and clients, to come and patronize his business. That is the power of what we're learning here today. Don't ever tell somebody you are right, especially in the midst of people. See, they are not going to praise you in any way. They are not going to agree with you. They are not going to smile with you in any way. There is the case of a guy here, a lawyer, who told a chief justice that the chief justice was wrong, right in the middle of a case in the court. And guess what happened? Everywhere became tensed. Like, the chief justice is wrong. This guy later found out what he did wrong, the mistake he made. Like, he shouldn't have said that, because sometimes we want to be blunt. We just want to say things as they are, right? But we are being admonished here to be diplomatic. Don't try to be too logical. Consider the other person's feelings. You want to prove that you are right. And so what? After proving that you are right, how does the other person feel? You make them feel less of themselves. You make them feel that they don't know anything, that they are not smart. And it's even worse when you now do it in the midst of people. Right. So diplomacy, wisdom is very, very profitable to direct. Few people are logical. Only few people will reason with you when you tell them that you're wrong. Very, very few. Many people just want to feed their ego, their pride, their stubbornness. Oh, I'm educated, so you can't tell me that. I'm a professor. How dare you say that? And they will argue blindly. That is the category that many people fall into. Only few people are humble enough and reasonable enough to actually admit that, oh yeah, I think you're right. Let's just forget about it. No. So instead of telling people that, don't even try to. If you cannot say it in a diplomatic way, then just walk past. There is something here that the author admonishes us to actually put somewhere and paste on the wall. And I'll just summarize that sometimes when you know that you are wrong, right? You don't want to change your mind when somebody tells you. The fact that somebody has mentioned it makes you stubborn about it. But if you now sit down on your own and it comes willingly from you, you may now change your mind. You may change your ways. But if somebody just comes to you and says, what you're doing is wrong, what you're doing is, that human pride will get in the way. It is not that what they are saying is not right, but you feel that your self-esteem is threatened. How can we be a woman that will tell me that I don't know how to do this? The fact that it's coming from a woman, or the fact that it's coming from somebody younger than me, you will never take it, right? So you cannot force your opinion on anybody. If they don't intend to change from within, there is nothing you can do. So if you really want somebody to change, take for example a customer, because this principle works in business very well. There are two instances here. If you have read the book, you want somebody to change his or her mind, don't even try to argue with the person, right? Allow the person to just do it willingly. There's a story here of Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln had an enemy. You know, Horace Greeley, the most famous editor in America during the time of the Civil War. He disagreed violently with Abraham Lincoln. He wrote so many terrible things about him. He would just never agree with him. He was so bitter. He even drew him into a campaign of argument, ridicule and abuse. He wanted to get at him at all costs. I think that was even beyond enmity. It's like witchcraft. Like, I must bring you down. I must spite you. I must malign you at every cost. So he wrote all kinds of terrible things about Abraham Lincoln. Even the night that Abraham Lincoln was shot, he still wrote terrible things, sarcastic things, bitter and brutal things about Abraham Lincoln. You know. But did all of that make Abraham Lincoln agree with him? No. The more he did that, the more he fueled bitterness, envy, anger inside of him. And it was like a slow poison to him. That is what you do anytime you just want to force your opinion down anybody's throat. It can turn into bitterness for you because you feel like, this person does not like me. This person will just not agree with anything I do. Right? Allow them be. You may also behave the same way if you're in that person's shoes. So you cannot force anybody down anybody's throat. If they don't agree willingly, if it doesn't come from them, there is nothing you can do. You're only wasting your time. Benjamin Franklin learned this in a very hard way. He used to be so hard on people. His words used to cut through people's hearts like a sword. You know, there are some people that have it's not sour. What's the word now? I don't know. Skip me. Right? Like when they say something, it just pierces your heart. You feel bad. You feel terrible. You feel degraded and downgraded. Like their words are like poison to you. Right? Sarcastic. It's even more than sarcastic. It starts with S. You just skip me now. But something like that. Right? It doesn't matter what they are saying. Every time they open their mouth to talk, it doesn't come with grace. There is nothing beautiful about what they say. If you have made a mistake, oh my God, you will feel so terrible because they will criticize you. They will make you feel bad. They will make you feel miserable. Benjamin Franklin was like that until a friend took him aside one day and lashed him with stinging truth. Yes, what I was trying to remember is sting. The word sting. Yes, their words will sting you. So this friend took him aside to lash him, to give him a taste of his own medicine. And this man said to him, Ben, you are impossible. Your opinions have a slap in them for everyone who differs with you. They have become so offensive that nobody cares for them. Nobody cares for what you want to say. They're always offensive. Your friends find they enjoy themselves better when you are not around. You know so much that no man can tell you anything. Indeed, no man is going to try. For the effort would lead only to discomfort and hard work. So you are not likely ever to know any more than you do, which is very little. With your behavior, with your stinging words and everything, nobody wants to be around you. People find you to be offensive. It is a lot of work staying around you, Benjamin Franklin. It is too stressful for people. You disagree with them, you are so harsh on them, you are so critical of them. And so they are better off without you. So this was got into his head, thankfully. And he started thinking that, wow, I have to change my ways. Thank God he was even remorseful about that. Some people would even be more defensive, right? And so he started changing. He made it a rule to forbear all direct contradiction or sentiments. So he started getting a grip on himself that whatever anybody wants to say, I am not going to reply in an offensive manner or defensive manner, you know. And he said that he would never use words like certainly, undoubtedly, those words that make him appear like what he's saying is final, whatever anybody wants to say is immaterial. He stopped using those words, and he will use words like, oh, I conceive that, oh, I imagine that, oh, I apprehend that, oh, you know, I may be wrong, but, you know, maybe this can just help to convince you. Things like that. He soft pedaled on those harsh words, those stinging words. He would not be caught anybody abruptly or be too blunt with people. He made it a personal duty. And this brought him a lot of advantages. This brought him like 50 years of relating with people pleasantly. He would refrain himself from speaking any words that can offend anybody or sting them. Even the Bible says, let your words be filled with grace. Right? If your word is not going to edify anybody, if it's going to make them feel miserable, don't say it. There are better ways to say things, no matter how blunt, no matter how truthful, right? You just have to find a way to be diplomatic. We all have to learn this. And this can work in business. There is somebody who wanted to present something like a proposal to his company. And so he laid down the rules. He laid down all the things that the other people were doing wrong at the meeting. And if she failed miserably, she's a lady, she failed miserably until she learned this principle. She was able to reconvene the meeting at another time. And then she allowed the other people to talk. And while the other people were talking, she was, you know, understanding them and everything. And at the end of the day, they danced to her own tune. So there is always a better way to do what you have to do. There is a way to understand people. A lot of us don't really listen to understand. The book that we read before this one, yeah, we learned that you should seek the 7 habits of highly effective people. Seek to understand than to be understood. Or seek to understand first before you are understood. Understand the other person's point of view. The person may not be wrong at the end of the day. It may just be that you're saying the same thing in different ways. There is also a man here who saved his company a lot of money in dollars just by trying to understand his client. He was a salesperson. Just by allowing this other person to have a feel of what they wanted to say. And then he presented his own point, his own facts in an amiable manner. And at the end of the day, he was able to gain money for his company. He said the ultimate outcome was that he went through the entire carload again after I left, accepted the whole lot, and we received a check in full. That was the guy that is supplied lumber to. And the guy was going to say, no, these were below grades and all of that. Come and pack your load. Come and pack these. We don't want to get refund our money. As he was going there to go and meet them at the site, he looked for a very good way to approach the situation. Thankfully, I had learned this principle. And when he got there, he did not argue. He did not say anything. He was just trying to listen to the other person, analyze the facts. Okay, bring everything out. Let's check one by one. Why do you think this is below grade? Okay, maybe you are right, and things like that. So the other person was disarmed. Somebody that was already prepared to fight and argue with him. He was disarmed, and at the end of the day, accepted everything. So in conclusion, The author says he's not revealing anything new in this chapter because 2,000 years ago, even Jesus said, agree with your adversaries quickly. Quickly. Somebody is dragging you to court. If you're a Christian, you know the story. Or dragging you to the palace before the king to go and lash you. And while you are going on the way, the person is saying all sorts of things. Quickly say, okay, I think I understand you. Maybe you misunderstood me, but I agree with you. Oh, if only I had listened more, this matter would not have gotten to this point. Now I understand what you are trying to say. And then before you get to court, you quickly settle. And the king is saying, or the judge is saying, oh, where are these people? And then they say, no, the case is cancelled. We have settled. Don't continue to go with the person stubbornly. Quickly think in your mind that to what end, of what use will this be? Let me just try and understand some things from this person's point of view. Let me make this person feel important. After all, it may be that this person is not even wrong, right? And 2,200 years before Christ was born, King Actor of Egypt gave his son some shrewd advice that is sorely needed today. He said to him, be diplomatic. Counsel the king. It will help you gain your profit. Be diplomatic. In other words, don't argue with your customer or your spouse or your adversary. Don't tell them they are wrong. Don't get them stirred up. Use a little diplomacy. Right. So don't forget principle 2. Show respect for the other person's opinions. Never say you are wrong. But if you want to make enemies quickly, go around telling people, you are wrong, you are wrong, you are wrong, I'm right, you are wrong, But I trust that we won't do that, right? There is a way to say you're wrong without saying you're wrong. Thank you so much for joining me on tonight's review. Don't forget to like this video, share your comments with me, and please subscribe to this channel in case you're yet to subscribe. I remain Olaide Agbaje, also known as First Lady. And on this channel, I inspire you to live intentionally. I'll come your way again tomorrow as we review chapter 3 of part 3, which says, if you are wrong, admit it. Thank you so much. I see my friend and my colleague, Perfumula, all the way from South Africa. Shout out, Perfumula. Thank you, everybody. God bless you all. Bye-bye. See you tomorrow by God's grace. Be intentional. Yeah.